I gotta start my recording as well. Hopefully I have enough space, I should say. I should. Okay. All right, sounds good. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's get into what I was doing for a month and a half when I wasn't on stream. Yeah. Let's go. Guess we just do this one? Or this one? This works. This works. Yes. Unacceptable. Yes, exactly. You forgot about it, Sky. Oh, nice. You got it, though. Very cool. Very cool. Go, go, go. Woo! Let's do it. Ladies and gentlemen, so this is my garage. As you all know, the right side of my garage. This is the left side of my garage, by the way. The right side of my garage. I had buried some stones as to be a support for the wooden floor I wanted to put in. And I had buried those, and then I had taken some of this wire mesh. Well, I put my wood stove in there, yes. But I took this wire mesh and got some concrete. And I put the wire mesh over these stones because these stones were going to provide me some ventilation. Oh, thank you for the hype train, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it, guys, very much. So I wanted ventilation, and but I didn't want critters and other things crawling back in there, so I put some wire mesh there. And this was done before I took this break for this last trip, but I just wanted to go over this real quick. I also poured some dry cement, I wetted it with the hose and let it set. So all these stone, well, whatever, block pinions that I'm going to be putting the wood on top of would be set. You know, then nothing would like move around or whatever. And then this is what it looked like when I was about ready to rock and roll with my project, because I got all this glorious treated lumber, because I needed treated lumber. So I got treated lumber. I also did a bunch of painting. I don't know. I think I showed you that, right? I started painting. All of the colors are the colors of my logo. So if you don't know what my logo looks like, the dark green is like kind of the details within my logo. Obviously this green is behind the box, and then there's some other tans and browns coming here in a little bit. Of course, I got my wood stove there. Oh, I did this brick outer piece here. Let's make sure I'm getting all the pictures that I want from this. I think this is the pictures I pulled off. Yes, I think we're right. I did an extra little brick outer layer here. I had poured a cement pad sort of underneath and around the stone, and it just ended up perfect where I could put some brick there. And I felt like I needed some brick because it was like, wasn't big enough, and it just needed to be a little bigger, and I felt like it helped square off the floor a little bit better, so when I wanted to put the wood floor up next to it, that it would fit nice. So that's what I did. So that was like one of the first things I did in the project. I got the cement, or the brick, and then I started putting the subfloor. So I put plastic down first to create a nice moisture barrier, even though it was like kind of a partial cement mix that hardened up the floor. I wanted a moisture barrier between the wood and any of the dirt or cement. So that's what I did. I got plastic on pretty much every bit of it. I was able to kind of curl up on the edges so no wood is really touching cement, which is ideal because moisture will transfer between the two and eventually rot the wood, and I didn't want that. So treated lumber plus plastic plus ventilation from these holes in the block. So the framing wasn't too bad. This was like the first couple, 3 or 4 days. This went pretty quickly. I went ahead and glued each of these boards. I put an end board. I screwed these in. Didn't I do pocket holes? I think I did pocket holes. And I just screwed them in from this side. I wasn't going to try to build a frame and then lay it down. That was just not going to work. So I didn't do that. I just did pocket holes on the end of each board, screwed the screws in that way, and it seemed to work very, very well. Then, on the other end of the board, here, I wanted some support because these are just 2x4s upright. Like, there's nothing to keep them from, like, twisting or buckling. I mean, when I put the plywood on top and I screwed down through, it would support it pretty well. But I was like, you know what? Let's add some more. So I had some 1x boards. I did pocket holes there, glued them, and screwed them. They're definitely not moving. And so see, all these 1-inch boards now support the other side. This floor, shall I say, without a shadow of a doubt, is very strong, very solid. And then we're a little ahead of ourselves, but that's okay, because I didn't really have a good picture of the floor before I put the stuff on. I was able to get some really nice... Did I get a picture over here? I don't think so. I started using this camera for the door. No, I didn't really get a good picture. At least 50 years. Yeah, I think so. I think so. Yeah. So then, this is the same picture. Anyway, what happened was I ended up finding this. It was actually used. It had been used in a greenhouse. Some hemlock lumber. Hemlock is very lightweight, but it's also very hard. It's a very hard wood. And it's just great for moisture and, you know, in all kinds of weather. As long as it's not like touching dirt, it can get wet and dry, and it's going to last a long time. So I was able to get that. I sanded them very lightly. I didn't really sand them much, and then I put boiled linseed oil on them, and this wood floor turned out gorgeous. Now, it's instantly, pretty quickly gotten pretty grimy and cruddy, which I expected, but it looked gorgeous for a little while. It just gets, you know, with the oils, and then I'm doing metal work and other stuff. You know, I'm like grinding on metal, and then I'm cutting something with a saw. So it gets pretty cruddy. Well, at least the floor is solid. Yeah, right. Yeah, it'll last until then. Yes. Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, I got the floor done, and that turned out nicely. I was very, very happy. It looks really nice. It is extremely solid. And I didn't really take pictures. Wait a minute. I thought I had a picture. Where did that picture go? Oh, here it is. It got kind of out of order. Must have taken it with my phone. So this was the floor where I was putting it down. I put treated, like 1/2-inch treated plywood on top. It is very solid, once again. Yeah, I like how it darkened as well. Yeah, and it's just gotten kind of darker, and, you know, like I said, as it gets sort of dirty, it gets darker too, but it darkened up nice. Yeah, that's how it looks. It looks dirty. There's really not much else you can do. You can try to sand it or whatever, but that's fine. So this is kind of how it was after I got the floor, and I started moving everything over. Of course, I had a lot of the stuff stacked over here, and I had to reorganize. It's so hard to explain, but there was so much crap over there. Basically, what I had to do, I had to reorganize, clean, sort, and then take a bunch of stuff and actually build it out. So one of the big projects was, and I've showed you guys this before, was this workbench. And this workbench, the lumber down here, the wood on this bottom side was just chipboard. This was all brown. It looked really crappy. It didn't have a nice top to it or anything. And I basically, this was a whole project in and of itself. I had to tear off all the old chipboard off the outside. I put all new plywood. All new piece down here. There's like a little shelf back in there. I built this top for it. Screwed it on there so it wouldn't move, and be a nice solid workbench atop. I put this kind of like live edge wood around here as a frame, and this is for all my like power tools stuff. I can just shove them down here. I hate wrapping stuff up. I hate putting stuff away. So this is just nice. I can kind of like throw the quarter on it and slap it in there, and I don't have to worry about it. It's very typical how I work. So that was like one of the first big projects is like dragging this thing over there and rebuilding it. It was a big deal. And it felt like everything here at this point was like a big deal. So that was the first thing. The second thing was that I think I did this second. I had this white cabinet. These shelves were going this way. How should I describe this? It was a white cabinet that had like shelves that we had in like a pantry. We had thrown it in the garage because we didn't want it anymore. It was kind of broken. The doors were broken. And it was just wasting away, like just sitting there. And I was going to pitch it. And I'm like, you know what? I could probably make that into something for like the car side of the garage. That's what I did. I flipped this on its side. I left one of the drawers in there, and then I used a bunch of like 2x4 pieces and shelves and whatever else, and I redid the whole thing. I will put this whole thing on YouTube, Zigga. Yeah, I'm gonna be putting this whole thing on YouTube. Some of these pictures are on Art Sharing. Yeah, a very good Second Life. Yep. But yeah, guys, for anyone who wants to watch this, but you can't stick around, and you want to know what happened, I will try to put this highlight all on YouTube next few days. So that was another big project. So trying to get that shelf unit, see there, it was sitting right there, and so I got that. It turned into a nice shelving unit for like oil and other stuff for my car. So I got that done. That was like the next thing. Then the other thing was these tables. So these tables, I had gotten 2 of these tables from a gentleman that had bought a bunch of old tools from. So I had to sand the top. I had to repaint everything. I basically had to, like, there was rust and stuff around the bottom. I basically had to resurface and redo both of these tables. That's what I did. There was that shelving unit before I got it done. I repainted it white and everything. So, yeah, these are those metal. I stripped all the paint off the top, and I wanted to have a metal surface, working surface. So, I was able to put some boiled linseed oil on the top, and I oiled the shelving boards. So this table is to house my my vise, my drill press, some other stuff, and so I just wanted this to be clean and, you know, easy to work on. Well, I did that. It worked very, very well. I bolted the vise to it. I don't know if I have my photos here, but basically the table, once I bolted the vise to it, there wasn't a lot of support for the vise, so the whole table would like lift when you tried to do anything with the vise. So I had some angle iron that I pulled off the door for the garage door, which I'll show you guys the garage door project in a minute. But I basically reinforced the table, and then I bolted the table to the floor, and now it is very strong. The vise works beautifully. The whole table doesn't move. It vibrates a little bit if you're banging on it with a hammer, but it doesn't move. So that was another big project, is getting the table set up and the table done so that I could put something on it and actually use it. So that's what I did. Then my neighbor said, hey, I have some old kitchen cupboards that I could give you. I'm not using. So I was like, great. So I took them and I painted them. That takes a long time. We had to wait, and it was like took 2 or 3 coats, and so I painted these kitchen cupboards. And I got that done. And then I got the other table done. Where did those pictures go? They might be on the other roll here. I don't know that I got that other table. I definitely got a picture of it on, well, here it is. I really didn't work on it right away, so that's probably part of it. Here's the vise table all done. This is when it's all done. Bolted to the floor, bolted here. There's a piece of angle iron underneath. Don't mind the whitey tighties. I have a whole bunch of them. They're my rags now. I had kept them for rags for like a long time. They were mine, if you wanted to know. And I had outgrown them. Grown them. Wow, I can't talk. So at any rate, I got those. You're going to see them in pictures for the foreseeable future. All right, so then I guess the next thing I did I got the cupboards done, but I worked on this other table. As long as they were white. Yes, pivotal. They definitely were. They were actually surprisingly white, to be quite honest. They aren't after I use them to sop up grease, but beyond that. So I guess I worked on this other table. Let me just show you what I did. So these were the old these were the old casters that came off the workbench that the old guy had on the workbench. I took the casters and I turned them into this. Pulled them off these pieces of wood. They were all rusty. They were crappy, and I turned them into that. And I actually saved the casters. So I got those, and I redid the casters, and then I built a frame to. This was the second metal table. I built a frame, bolted the table to the frame, and then, which I put like used lag bolts. And then I turned it upside down, put the casters on it. I painted the other drawer. Oh, this is the angle iron I put under that. My pictures are all weird. And then I put it in. All right, so we'll just show you this. So this is kind of a little bit down the road because I'm not really showing you the door yet. But I got this table done. I got these put in place. And yeah, it worked very, very well. I used a French cleat for all these things, and it worked very, very well. So we're a little ahead of ourselves because the door, I haven't really showed you the door yet and showed you how I did that. That was kind of its own project all by itself. It was a very long, drawn-out project. But that gives you an idea that I got the table and all that stuff done. I guess I worked on the door sometime in between there, and that's probably why everything's kind of split up. All right. This door, ladies and gentlemen, was a normal garage door. Okay, well, old school normal garage door. Very heavy, wooden. All these panels are wooden. And I was almost tempted to turn this into its own video. I actually may, if I think it might be helpful to somebody. But if you ever want to know if you could turn an old garage door into a double, like, swinging shed door, you can. It takes some finagling, but you can do it. So the first thing I did was I didn't have a Sawzall at first. So I was trying to figure out, well, how am I going to make this happen? I want to make this door swing out, right? Like two double doors. Because I don't want a garage door anymore. I don't want to take away the space that's up here. I don't want to have these big rails, you know. I kind of actually wanted some extra parts in case my other door broke, or the chains are probably impossible to get. They're very specific link, the springs, everything. I could use the parts in case the other one broke, and I like the other one. At any rate, they're very classic looking. They fit the look of the house and everything. So I thought, all right. So I had to very carefully disassemble the door while building the new door on top of it. So my first thing to do was I cut this top part. I got myself a cut going. So I cut this, and then I installed the two 2x4 parts of the frame at the top. That was like the first thing. I did this with a I guess just like a skill saw. So then I installed these. You can, I don't know what I'm showing you there. Just showing that I had this whole frame and then bolted in, and I just screwed this on top after the cut. Okay, so I went outside and I put these supports in place. So this is after removing some of the hardware. I got rid of some of the hardware, started taking stuff off, took off some of the handles, and I used these big angle pieces to support the door, so it wouldn't just like collapse, right? I put stuff underneath it so that would support it at the height that I wanted it, and started extracting all these bolts. There was so many bolts. There's the old lock, etc., etc. I took all these off. I had to replace this one trim piece because it was broken. I just threw all the hardware in. I just had a pile of hardware. I had to pull all this stuff off. This is the bit of angle iron that it was attached to. Both of them were attached. This one I had rebuilt. I have another video about that one. Oh, there's my Okay, I don't know why I'm showing this order, but let's see where we're at. What are we doing here? Why are we showing this? I guess we're just like, hey, look, this is my working shop. I guess I was showing it because I kind of had some level of usefulness. Oh, I bought a shop vac. That was very extremely helpful. This was my setup as I was working on the garage door, I guess. So this is how I started using the space. And it was working well. This is the other side. It's just full of crap. The kitchen cabinets are... Oh, there's the shelving unit being used finally, properly. So that was cool. And yeah, I just set everything up in there. I just had crap everywhere, but that was the only thing I can do. I still kind of have crap some places, but it was really bad there for a while. Okay, so then I took off all the hardware from this side, started putting the bottom supports on, and then I had to take this middle board off. I pried it off. Then I started to build the frame. Now, an interesting thing about this works on the same principle as a gate. You got to use this angle of support, but it's got to go from the bottom. The bottom has to be closest to the inside of the door, to the door frame, and then it goes out. If you did it the other way, it wouldn't support it very well at all. It's weird, but it's just the way it like hinges here. It's science, man. At any rate, so I put my level up here, and I started to build the support completely. I built like the frame out, and I put some new pieces of wood here to house this, so it wouldn't be in my way. Oh, and then I got part of the frame on, and I got a couple of the hinges on. I'm like, you know what? I gotta paint this. I was like, well, this is gonna be really dumb to have all these frame pieces in the way, so I just need to paint it. Now, this painting took a heck of a long time. I think the one side of the door took like a whole day. It was a long time. So basically what happened was I painted the middle, I painted the dark green, and then I went in with this lighter tan and painted it. It was a long process. I wanted it really, really bad because I loved the look of having a light tan highlighting the darker tan inner boxes. I love that. So I did it. It just it literally took forever. It was one of the more painful things I did. And then I painted all the rest of these tan and started redoing the frame once the door was done. And at least that side. And at this point, it's still not cut in half, right? I still wasn't sure it was going to work. Once I got the support on, I could take off some of the supports on the outside. I left the other support in place. The screws I had were too long, so I had to grind them off. I didn't know what else to do. I was like, I was a little desperate. I also screwed the door to the top. Tried to screw it to the frame to keep it in place. And then I painted all these frame pieces separately. There's I don't know why I threw the channel out there, but I did. I took off the old channel. I don't know why I'm taking a picture of my paint bucket, but I am. I also made a lot of tea during this time because it was hot. It was hot, hot, hot. So I made some lemon tea, used my old spaghetti jars, and I just made this whole gallon. And I would just pour it into these jars to put it in my fridge and just like try to keep myself going. Chaos, yeah, exactly. It was chaotic. It was very chaotic. Yeah, there's my tea. Yep, I was downing tea like crazy. I was just trying anything. I felt pretty awful. I'm not gonna lie. My leg was still hurting quite badly in these first few days. My muscle, that was trying to heal up from my back issue. So I was trying to my back was definitely put back in place by the chiropractor, but the muscle was still very sensitive. It still hits me every once in a while, like very lightly, but it's pretty much as 98% probably healed. But this early on, it was rough, and so yeah, it was hot, it was painful moving around, but I had to get it done, and I felt very motivated to get it done. So I was like, I'm gonna keep trucking. So I did, and no poor me, just That's just the way it was. And then I started using a lot of painter's caulk. Actually, this is probably glue. But I glued parts of these frames to the door as well as screwed the crap out of it. I mean, I put so many screws through this thing. But I just wanted to make sure that that door wasn't going to sag. That would have been the worst case scenario. If this door would have sagged together and it wouldn't have closed, oh, then I would have had to cut things and try to, oh man, the absolute pain in the patoosker that would have been if this door sagged is just hard to describe. But yeah, I made all these angle cuts. Like I said, the frame was very, very exact, and then I had to chip away a little bit. I had to trim out a little bit for the because for some reason this board frame for the frame was in just like 1/8 of an inch, and I wanted to make sure the hinges like lined up nicely. So I chiseled them out. I shimmed the other side, and it kept me from having to do that. I shimmed the these boards on the wall, and it saved me from having to shave that out. But yeah, I used a lot of glue on this one. I just shot carpenter's glue in there. I could have used painter's caulking, which I should have, which I started using a lot of painter's caulking later. But there we go. I don't know why I'm taking a picture of that. Oh, just to show you, I got all it down. I got all the hardware down. I threw it up here in this area so I'd have it. And I got one side done. I got these really, really beautiful hinges from, I think I got these from Lowe's. I really liked the way it was looking. And so I was like, I got that side done. I was like, all right, let's get the other side done. So I painted the other side. I put that frame in. It was still sitting level. Everything was level. I was like, oh boy. So I got it all done. I got those hinges on.
Oh boy.
And thanks, Donkin, for the follow. Appreciate that. Welcome in. So I got that all done. And for anyone who's not sure what's going on, I'm sharing pictures of what I did while I was off for a month and a half from streaming. So here we are. Thank you, Stocky. Welcome, welcome. But yeah, I did a big project on my garage, so I'm sharing that. No problem. Thank you. So yeah, I got that done, and then I cut the door. So after all that was done, I took a sawzall, I cut right down the middle of it, and surprise, surprise, it worked. I'm so grateful it worked. Like I said, the hell on earth it would have been to try to like cut the door or shave the door. A million things could have went wrong, but yeah, it worked. The doors are actually extremely stiff, very, very solid. Like they're not going anywhere. They were good. They were good. I got, here's a weird thing. Here's the kind of thing I do. I got these weird hooks. Thank you, 3D. Thank you, Rosie. I got these weird, there are these hooks. There's these hooks like this. They had this metal thing here, and then this part just went straight out. And I had two of them. I don't know. There was some sort of eye bolt thing that the old man had in the stuff that he gave me. Okay. So this one I took and I said, this would keep it from going in. And then this side, I could put it into a slot. And this would be a latch. Because I was trying to think of a latch I could make that I could use as a lock. So that's what I did. I ground out a slot here, put that one in there, used one of these things you use for a regular like latch lock. I screwed that. I chiseled out a hole for that, put that in there, ground out a hole for here, and then just used a piece of metal here. And it actually works. I can shut it from the inside. And then from the outside, when I go out at night, I can spin this all the way around and I lock it on an eye bolt. It's really hard to describe, but it works. So I have an eye bolt on this side to catch it, and then an eye bolt on the other side. And when I close it, this spins all the way around to the other side, and then I run a lock through it. And then I use the other one as the pin for the left door, because the left door doesn't open and close all the time. So, and you want one side to be like secure and locked in place. So I drilled a hole into the cement and then used this to as my pin. So it's just weird. These two random, really long, I don't know, hook bolts, whatever the heck they were, turned out to be the two pieces of hardware for my for my door. I just had to cut a notch in this little trim piece that I made, and yeah, there it is. There's when it's closed. I swing this over, and then I just run a bolt. There it is. I run a lock through it. It's very strange, but it it works very, very well. There's the new piece of trim I replaced. Yeah, that's that, man. Oh my word! And here is this was a beautiful day when I finally got all this done. So I got this table done. Oh, I hadn't even put the bottom on this table yet. Yeah, I guess not. So this is like my miter saw station, my cupboards. I do have to put up a metal piece here as a protector from the wood stove when the wood stove's running. Just a little bit of a heat barrier. I have the perfect thing to use for. I also put a bench, or sorry, a shelf up here. I put some plywood here on this framing, so I could put storage up here. So this is when I had like cleaned out the other side of the garage and actually put stuff where it goes. And I know some of it's crap up there, but hey, at least it's organized. That's where it was. The door was done. I could lock the door. It was painted. Everything was done. I could put all this stuff in its place. I could put some storage up here, my paint supplies, all that stuff. So everything was like, finally like, okay, I'm feeling good. So I think that's when I secured. Yep, this is when I did the table. I got it bolted to the floor. I also put the drill press over here. And this was me cleaning out the other side of the garage. So this is pretty much, okay, I got the other side of the garage as clean as I'm going to. So I'm not sure what to do with my bicycles. I may still have to put up another shed or something for bicycles because I still don't have a good spot for them. Then I repurposed the handles. I ended up stripping these later and painting them blue, but I put them up on this. They were, of course, at different heights of the garage door. So I went ahead and cleaned them, painted the inside. Well, actually, I painted both sides. But then there's the caster pictures. Okay, let's get to the point where, yeah, it was pretty much all done. And this is the garage. So this looks a lot messier. So the idea is, and I probably explained this before, but the idea is that this back here will be the tool wall, and then wrapping around up in here will probably be a bunch of shelving for my hardware. So I'm just gonna have a lot of hardware storage and whatnot. I also need to come up with something as I work here on this vise. There's a lot of stuff, like I'm grinding something or I'm cutting something. There's a lot of crap that gets spit around. So I might come up with a couple panels, maybe just cardboard, but something that I can put in place when I'm working here so I don't scatter and splatter everywhere. I had to cut some stuff today, and I mean, it just decorates everything. So that's the only thing I really have to kind of figure out, but everything else I'm pretty confident. Tool wall, hardware space, and that's something I'll be attaching to the wall, building shelves, building whatever I need, and that's gonna happen kind of as I need it or as I feel inclined to do it. But as far as the space goes, this space is now a functional space. I've actually used it quite a bit. I used it to work on the house. I just need to hook up the wood stove so that I can use it in the winter, and that's pretty much it. And obviously, like I said, build out the wall storage. And yeah, this is basically how it looks right now, except I do have some stuff in here that I'm working on, but bike's got to get figured out. The other thing is this is the metal that I'm going to be using for the heat protector, and then of course my chimney pipes that I'll be using for the wood stove. This table saw here, I'm going to try to restore it, or at least see if I can get it into a better working condition, because last time I tried to use that, I don't know if it's just the blade was dull, which it could have been. It seemed very underpowered. And like I said, it could have just been, the blade. So I'm gonna take a look at this and see if it's an old Craftsman. This bench was built by the old guy I got it off of, and so yeah, we'll have to figure out what we want to do with that. But for now, it's just sitting over there because it's a project, as is this, and as is this. So my projects are sitting here, and these are the only thing I don't know what to do with it yet, but we'll figure that out. And there we go. That's the garage. Gary, that's where Gary is.